QRM Beach Office 5522, Saquarema City, Federative Unit, Rio de Janeiro, National State, Brazil, integrated failure by Article 74 of our Constitution, distribution of geopolitical empowerment by failure on Article 2381, affecting the security by gaps at from local environment to the federative unit and national space, and impacting the security for international area, impacting the NATO in the same way, legitimacy to act by our Constitution in the same way, Article 4, Item 9, combined with 144 plus 1, Item 4. In general, it's like this. I'm applying my intellectual asset, Article 5, Item 9 and 13. We will check that in the very first moment we had our conversation. We told you by exposing and using a chart that we will have the model at the Suncoast project, considering the IBM, considering the Microsoft, considering the AT&T, considering the Unisys, and nowadays we are considering the Google in the same way. If you commit a violation of my privacy, make an entrance at my space, observing all things, changing situations, you impact this. If this goes as part of security for oversight by the Federal Bureau of Investigation America, you may be hurt those interests and you will do the compensation. Article 5, Item 5 of the Brazilian Constitution combined with American Constitution US Preamble. And if this is something launched by my free will, considering my freedom of thoughts on Article 1, Item 4, release of the Brazilian society, state, government, republic, and it's protected as something authentic, and in the same way by the American Constitution, Article 1, Section 8. We will check that this allowed us to have both a security program oriented against the failure. We have the values after the optimization of COBOL, considering regular areas, positive 1, internal value with failure, negative 1, with the antagonist behavior, which is 0, 0, going by failure inside the regular environment, qualified as integrated failure, positive 1, internal value, negative 1, corrupted, and antagonist behavior as motivation, changing the behavior of your system. The conjuncture prepared or set for criminality, which indeed is a criminal conjuncture, is a fact, and it's proved by COBOL using the binary language. We'll check that now. Today we will have the conversation about these issues: the monetary markets, the Asia gap on liquidity money curve, the monetary markets, and the analysis and forecast. We'll have the database Sigma as predictive model, considering the design. We'll have a node, quite simple. Here we are working for security. So if you committed a violation, affect interest on it as exposed by Big Tech USA and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, you probably will transfer your money for them, considering the bottom of these companies as Big Tech and the Federal Bureau of Investigation to supply their work. And you will probably have a lot of real estate market operations, and considering that this area Suncoast has a lot of frauds by the Association of Public Department, unable to have solution about all things because they have the continuity of failures inside. And we will observe that the last issue that we have at this area, I think that was the Mintzberg design. The Mintzberg design goes by the Heinz, considering the IBM inside, a model observed maybe on a shitty area like Brazil, and this going on present time on Germany. We will have the transference for the Food and Drug Administration, considering the cross-cut by the CIA during the transference, having the control and projecting this as information with the NATO in the same way to tactical and technical levels at the logistics system, considering the supply chain as operational activity to expose hidden levels, and those hidden levels indeed will be presented as a design using the prediction as the predictive model that we can have at this diary here, which will be something like this. I bet that will be no surprise. We will advance as Friday 14 because indeed it's almost Friday. We have 15 minutes to Friday. We will use our complementary analysis considering two different intervals. We will put names of both intervals, and then we will check that by depuration and drill down, considering the failures. Probably we will have, maybe, the same group as offender, because the area of integrity will be kind of reduced by the failure area, and the failure area combined will kind of be more relevant than the area with integrity. And in the end, we will have a small area with integrity. The combination of two areas with promiscuous behavior, respecting no law, respecting no constitution, and creating a lot of problems against we all at the global system by this failure at the local area, shit environment Brazil, two stink cities. Then we will observe that the smell of corruption indeed has a fusification, which can be AB or BA, which can be AA or BB. And this now gives me the exponential behavior as exponent 2 or square, but indeed they two both are kind of the same thing. We have A exponent 4 as a quadrant thing, or B exponent 4 the volume of operations, considering the overpay by digital payments as PIX and other things, which goes by important associated with public budget as transference of money or stimulus is a Ponzi scam. The distribution is like this, quite simple to understand. We have the model as A or B, considering the failure, and the depuration will give me A exponent 4 or B exponent 4. It means that this is the reversal level, and then we will observe that the transference as operation going in a so dynamic way will put them here by the trust scheme and domain of economic structure. They will transfer the money from the exponent as index 4 with two different segments as failure inside an area without integrity, which implies have no control about the tax stimulus transferred by them. And then we will have here the integration as two small areas with integrity failure, and silence is giving me the C as cartel or the trust, which will be the next consequence. We are inside the antitrust justice supporting them, of course we do. And we will consider, for instance, now let's suppose that I have my right as compensation, and then I will have the compensation as violation. It means here I have the state that will do the compensation, or the company that will do the compensation, and two both had failures. And those failures will transfer, resource by an operation. And in a very specific moment, we probably will have the trust formed by this. And to prevent this, we will put at this, sick game, the Federal Bureau of Investigation to confirm all this. Quite simple to understand. One more time. We will check that we can use this model with another situation. If I have, for instance, the violation of my analogical space by institution, I have the institution and I have the institution as violation now as my cyberspace. The violation of both indeed is a loss of integrity, and it doesn't matter if it's a violation of my cyberspace or the violation of my items at the postal system. it will be a violation. The increasement of violation will create the right to request the compensation against the institution. Then we will have that issue, which is the first issue, monetizing mistakes. You can monetize mistakes, but if this goal is going as a fraud, you are committing a crime, you must be sent to jail. In the same way, if you do this, for instance, to do the seizure of drugs, considering areas that you don't get the origin, and when you have this seizure, you have the redistribution, considering these channels here, which can be the expectation as payment, for instance, after have the drug redistribution offered at this black market, or have the place at the auction, I would say, to obtain this kind of drug. In both cases, we will have the public association or the association at the institutional level at the traffic international by corruption, considering the transnational organized crime. It's part of the Bill 2028. If you did the violation of MySpace and it was advised in the very first moment that you're having those companies on it, you will do the compensation. Local area Saquarema and local area Rio de Janeiro integrated as a unique budget with a single account. It's a principle of our public budget. And then you will transfer this money, for instance, to the big techs, and to prevent the big techs that kind of can do things by money and monetize mistakes like this, we will put the FBI on it. And the FBI is associated with the Interpol, with the NATO, and they will have money or will obtain the land field, I would say, or asset at real estate market based on criminal groups committing this kind of violation, and they will help me to research this entire area, and this entire area is part of Brazil, which is part of two economic blocks on South America, considering the BRICS and Mercosur, and we have a continent which is in many nations narco-governments transferring drugs all around the globe, because we have markets by these all around the globe and compromising the future of the entire mankind by the drug use. The Bill 2028 is all about this, in the same way keeping our effort to protect the mankind against greed, against the drug dependence that goes by top level of institution without no control at all. The second Bill 2024 is about the weapons of mass destruction and risk and food and drug administration. And the first Bill 2022, which will be launched this year, is about international criminals acting by public corruption, associated with special evidence on public budget Brazil, with such oriented program against specific targets by nuclear strike as responsiveness based on the warfare threats made by you, criminal offender. Any question? I wish you success. If we will have another video, and it will be posted before this one, about the control at the submask and the internet, considering the location, which is very precise by Google, but it's not my location, maybe it's not my internet or my access. You are collecting data. If you blocked this during the moment when I was having the control test, and I was having the live stream by a business TV, I would say, probably you are doing a real-time monitoring procedure of my private space, and you can do this. You violate the Constitution, and then you will pay every single penny. Coward criminals hiding yourselves inside the public corrupted structure Brazil.